Hello, listeners, it's Lewis. So, due to a moment of stupidity on my part, there is no new episode this week. We haven't lost it, it's just on another laptop. Mistakes happen. Stars, they're just like us. However, in its place, we have this little conversation we recorded last week discussing a recently announced Muppets project that we are all very excited about. In the meantime, thank you so much for continuing to listen to Muppetsational. Please keep spreading the word about us. You can leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or give us a shout out on Instagram, Twitter or Facebook. We are at Muppetsational. We shall see you next week for a full episode and enjoy this bite-sized chat, a Muppetsational baby, if you will. Does that work? Muppet babies? Muppetsational baby? Anyway, enjoy! We've just had the news that on Disney Plus, the Muppets are going to be doing a Halloween special. And not just any Halloween special, Muppets Haunted Mansion! Woo!
Woo!
It's so exciting!
It is. It's so exciting. I feel like, I realise this is not just purely for me, but I feel like a lot of the crossovers and a lot of the sort of Disney interaction between franchises that we've seen thus far has absolutely not been for me. It's been with things that I do not particularly care about. I'm not particularly invested in. This is exactly in my sweet spot. It's Muppets and it's one of my favourite rides in the whole entire universe. I'm so excited.
Oh, I know. I love this ride. It's like literally my favourite ride. I think when I was last in Walt Disney World, it was like the last thing I went on. Although I do have to say, when we used to go to Disneyland Paris, Lewis used to be so scared.
Oh, no, it's really?
So the Disneyland Paris one, even the outside of it, I found so terrifying that I would refuse to go on the ride, and so I would just sit on one of those rocks like by the lake waiting for the family to come out, and then my over hyperactive imagination would assume that they've been trapped in the haunted mansion and they're never coming back. I was a very, I don't want to say sensitive child, but my imagination would fill in the blanks too much on these kind of things. So for years, I never went on it. And then I finally got over it when we went to Florida. And now I absolutely adore it. I think it's such a beautiful piece of Imagineering. And I've now fully gone into like watching YouTube videos about it and listening to podcasts about this ride just because I love understanding all of the lore and how it was made, and yeah, to have the Muppets doing a special for it, it's my mind is already racing about what it's going to feature. It's so cool.
It is. It's really cool, and I think like the premise is that Gonzo has to spend a night in the haunted mansion by himself, and I just I love that I love that they're using Gonzo, and I realise they use Gonzo a lot more than we've necessarily been seeing in this first season of the Muppet Show, but I'm just so excited that it's Gonzo that's getting to do it, not one of the other Muppets. I was so happy to see that it was Pepe and Gonzo doing the announcement.
Muppets Haunted Mansion!
That makes me really, really hope that means that Pepe is there with him. And I also really hope that Rizzo's around, because
I know, as children who grew up with Muppets Treasure Island and Muppets Christmas Carol, we were led to believe that Gonzo and Rizzo were a double act, and now it's explicitly clear that was not the case until just those two movies. And now every time we see one of them, it's like, well, where's the other one? Or where is Rizzo? I thought he was like a, primary Muppet, but it turns out not necessarily.
In my mind, Rizzo is a primary Muppet, and Rizzo needs the representation that he deserves, okay? Like, Rizzo's agent needs to get on this more, I think. He needs to be advocating for Rizzo to be front and centre consistently. Is there anything that you two are really hoping is 100% in this? I know people have been saying about having Piggy either as like the bride or Madame Leota.
Oh my God, I was going to say that. Madame Leota. I could just imagine Piggy doing that. And I'd quite like to see a ghost ballroom scene as well, and maybe them all in that as well. I love that bit.
I'm wondering if we'll get a return of Statler and Waldorf in their kind of Muppets Christmas Carol garb. Because that's the only
Yeah.
sort of explicit sort of ghost Muppets I can think of. I mean, obviously we'll be getting some versions and variations, but it'd be quite cool to see those two back in that kind of guise. Because I know I have friends who were terrified of Muppets Christmas Carol because of those two.
Yeah.
Particularly the door knocker sort of sequence, which is genuinely quite scary.
That is pretty scary, actually.
We'll see you at the finale.
I thought it would be quite cool, obviously, like the end of the ride when you have the hitchhiking ghosts. If you had Statler and Waldorf, maybe like Uncle Deadly, I don't know, some of the kind of creepier looking Muppets.
Oh, you know, it'll be Statler and Waldorf in the ballroom, but in a balcony looking down at the scene.
Yes, of course, the balcony that the Doom buggies go across. That's where Statler.
Maybe
and
they'll
Waldorf
even be
hanging
sitting in a
out.
doom buggy, just watching it, being like, "I can't believe we're doing it!" Oh, just like shuttling
It
along.
could be it could be a perpetual doom buggy that gets to the end of that balcony and then just immediately goes back to it, and just like.
Maybe they can have a runner where, you know, every time Gonzo's in a different room or location at one point, Statler and Waldorf do just sort of get wheeled in on their doom buggy
Yeah, that would
and
be good.
pass comment on what's happening and then just keep being wheeled on until the next point.
That would be great.
Drive-by punning.
There's so many things they can do with it, and I really hope that they do use the full range of Muppet characters available. I want to see Wayne and Wanda in that ballroom sketch, like,
And all
you
these
know.
other, like, lost Muppets. Hilda will be down there.
Hilda needs to be back. Hilda could be like one of the people that's like letting Gonzo onto the ride, you know, like walking on the travelator that constantly
Oh my goodness,
moves.
the travelator used to terrify me, especially at the end though, because there'd be like the panic of making sure you got off before you got like sucked into like the doors as it goes back round again.
I'm already thinking in my head of like what the sort of Muppety version of the stretching room portraits are going to be. Like it's
Gotta have Dr. Teeth with his arms in there.
yes, or Fozzie like standing on a stage doing some stand up and then it stretches down to see the audience and it's full of skeletons or something. It's like, hey, I thought this was a dead audience. Like, oh, it's gonna be great. And I hope it's such a success that then they just do a Muppet version of every big ride.
I hope they do a version of every big ride, and I also just hope that maybe this might finally be the start of what I just want so desperately, which is the Gonzo, Pepe, Rizzo living together sitcom. I just want the three of them. I just want to see their lives. It doesn't need to be anything else. Just that.
Oh,
All my
God.
wildest dreams would be fulfilled if they're like, yes. And maybe they go to Disney, like, once a month or something.
Well, we've had the Muppets go to Walt Disney World as a special before.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's time for a 2021 version. This is the start.
I want to see Gonzo and Rise of the Resistance.
Oh my God. I remember when the sort of Muppet Disney deal properly first happened, there was a talk for a while, and I've watched, maybe we'll have to link to the YouTube video in our show notes or something. There was a concept put forward by, I can't remember his name now, to launch the Muppets in the Disney park and do like a Muppets takeover of a bunch of different rides.
Yeah.
And it's funny that this now has 30 years later or whatever, they are doing a sort of small version of that.
Well, I guess you could see it as a bit of a test run, couldn't you, really? Because I wonder if it works and they like it, maybe rather than having like the Nightmare Before Christmas layover that they have in Disneyland every year.
I don't know, people do, well, they do love it now. They do really, I don't know if I can see them doing a proper Muppets layer. Well, I don't know.
I don't know. I think especially in California, they're looking for ways to get people back in the park as much as possible. And they're moving away from, obviously, like the annual pass holders and everything. And I think it's like that sense of like an event. And if you haven't been to see the Muppets Haunted Mansion, then that's certainly
Muppets Haunted Mansion!
certainly a reason to buy a ticket. So I don't know. We'll see. But it's so exciting. I'm just so glad that they are doing something with the Muppets and that it's a Disney crossover too. Like that's just, it's just amazing.
It was very exciting, and we cannot wait to see it.
Our theme music is Peppy Pepe by Kevin MacLeod, and our artwork is designed by Charlotte Rudge. who you can follow at Charlie_R_Rudge on Instagram.